All right, what is up, everybody? We're back for another episode of Queen City Reds. You know it, we don't have any graphics. It's just me and you just hanging out, talking Reds. What more to ask for? So let's dive right in today. We got a lot to get to. We're going to start with the Reds series against the Dirty Birds. As the Reds are great at doing, they get off to a hot start. They win the first game of the series. They win by a score of 3-1. Nick Lodolo shoves as he normally does. Nick Lodolo has been just awesome this year. He's done just great things for the Reds. He went 5 1/3, gave up 5 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 3. Jamir Candelario hit a home run in that game. The Reds only mustered up 5 hits, but they were able to win 3-1 as the Cardinals really never got anything going. Nick Lodolo started the game. Fernando Cruz pitched 1 2/3. That's when he struck out his career high 5 guys. Sam Mole and Lucas Sims came in to close the door. So the week got started off on a hot start. And as the Reds do, they win the first game of the series and then drop the next two. It's pretty frustrating. Pretty frustrating. The second game, the Reds just got shellacked. Lost 7-1 to the Cardinals. Andrew Abbott's worst performance of the season. He threw 6 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Will Benson did hit a home run for the Reds' only run that game. They only had 4 hits. And then the third game of the series, the Reds fell 5-3 to the Cardinals. Just didn't get much going until late. They didn't score until the 7th inning. I forget, Palente for the Cardinals had like a no-hitter going through 6 innings, and that guy is not very good. That was a pretty frustrating game, the day game. Brinky Montas kind of battled through 6 innings. It felt a lot worse than it was, but when Palente was just not giving up hits, pretty frustrating day for the Reds at the plate, and that's been a thing all season. So you win the first game of the series, you think, okay, all we got to do is win one of the next two, and you drop them both. So Reds, I think before yesterday, they lost like 8 games in a row on the rubber match of the series, which is not what you're looking for. Finally got off the schneid yesterday, but Reds versus Cardinal series, no good. Let's get into the fun stuff though. Then they played the Cubs, traveled over to old Wrigley Field, and that's when things got going. The Reds on the first game of the series, they came out hot, they played well, and that's what you need. You had Graham Ashcraft starting. I mentioned it on Saturday, I think, and I said when Graham Ashcraft is starting and you win a game with him, and then you have Lodolo and Green to follow him, you feel pretty good that you can win one of those two. And the Reds arguably could have won 2 of the 2, but big stuff from the Reds. They had a 2-run lead late. Ellie De La Cruz had that crazy relay. Jacob Hurduis gets it in the left field line. Ellie throws at 93 plus mile per hour to get the guy at home in the ninth. And Alexis Diaz gets Cody Bellinger a fly out to end it. It was like 107 mile per hour. When I thought that ball was mashed too. Alexis Diaz made a sweat, but the Reds got it done. Will Benson had a double. Santiago Espinal had a huge pinch hit home run in that one. And what I'm going to say here, let's talk about that home run by Santiago Espinal. So everybody crushes David Bell for the bad decisions he makes. And listen, I'm not a David Bell stan account by any means, but when you're going to crush him, you got to give him credit where credit's due. Santiago Espinal came into pinch hit. I don't remember if it was for Will Benson or Jake Fraley, but he came into pinch hit late in the game, 7th inning against the lefty. First pitch, get me over curveball. He mashes that thing into the left field fence to give the Reds a lead. I mean, hey, that's a great decision by David Bell. Santiago Espinal is pretty good against left-handed pitching. He's struggled a little bit this year, but David Bell made the move to get the lefty matchup, to not let them do a lefty matchup and bring in Santiago Espinal, and Espinal made him pay. So credit to David Bell for the win on Friday. Credit to Ellie De La Cruz, who even when he's struggling at the plate, which we'll get to in a little bit, he just finds ways to make an impact on the game. Ellie De La Cruz is incredible to watch. He's been really good defensively after the rough start to the year. It's been fun to watch Ellie. Anyway, the Reds win game 1 of the series. So what happens in game two? Well, the game was supposed to kick off at about 7:15 Eastern time on Fox. The game actually kicked off at about, I don't know, 10:15, 10:30 on like FS2. And what a crazy game that was. So I'm going to preface this with that was just a wild game. I'm not really sure you can credit things or blame people for that game for at least the first 5 or 6 innings. By the way it ended, it was pretty normal by that point. But I think his name's Sia Suzuki. I think that's how you pronounce his first name. If not, I apologize. He drops the ball in right field that the Reds get 3 runs on. I mean, it was a tailor-made pop-up that Luke Maile hit out there, and the Reds scored 3 runs on it. Hunter Green proceeds to walk, the bases loaded. He gets a huge out that he looks like he's going to get out of the inning, and Suzuki says, I'm getting the runs back that I gave up, and hits a grand slam to tie the game at 4. The Reds had a million opportunities that game. They out hit the Cubs 10-6. They just couldn't get the big hit in, and the Cubs, Dansby Swanson hit a 2-run home run late to take the lead, and they never looked back, and the Cubs won that game 7-5. That was a disappointing win. You don't want to lose, or disappointing loss. You don't want to lose too many games. We have a 4-run lead, but the Reds did just that. And you had Nick Lodolo on the mound yesterday, and you're feeling pretty good again. Lodolo has pitched pretty well. And the Reds get off to another big-time start. TJ Friedl hits a 3-run home run on an 0-2 count. His first home run of the season. Good to see TJ Friedl get going a little bit. Still been struggling. Still did go 1 for 5 yesterday, but he's walked at a pretty good amount. I think he's just getting the timing back, as he said yesterday. Good to see TJ Friedl do some stuff. Nick Lodolo pitched another great game through 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. And then Nick Martinez does what Nick Martinez does, comes in and pitches 2 innings. He threw like 11 pitches in the game, only gave up 1 hit, struck out 3, and Alexis Diaz came in and he walked the first batter because that's what he does. And he did get out of it without any further damage. So big, you split, but you go 3-3 against the Cubs and Cardinals. You would have liked to go at least 4-2, especially winning the first game of both series. But I think he'll take 3-3. Now you got to take advantage of the Rockies. Before we get to the Rockies, though, before we get into the series preview, let's talk about Elliott. So people are freaking out about Elly De La Cruz. I think we just got to remember, and I know this isn't fun to talk about, Elly De La Cruz is 22 years old. He has not been in the major leagues for a full season yet. He has not even been in the majors for a full season. So what's happening is he's adjusting to the league. The league's adjusting back. He's playing well, and the league adjusts back, and then the league figures him out a little bit. It is a little bit concerning that he's missing some of the pitches he's missing. He's looking at some of the pitches. He's just struggling. He's just going through a slump. He's just doing what, young guys, he's just going through what young guys go through. I don't think there's anything more to it than that. I don't think it's anything crazy. I think he's just struggling and pitchers are figuring him out, and he'll adjust. I do think he'll adjust. He's done it time and time again. I wanted to pull up a tweet that Bryce Spalding put out on the X app. From March 28th to April 24th, Elly had a 312 or 313, 412, 651 slash line. He had a 193 WRC plus, and he had 13 extra base hits. He was only striking out 32% of the time, walking 13% of the time, and he was hitting the ball hard 50% of the time. Now go from April 25th to May 16th, he's slashing 236, 337, 361, still a 101 WRC plus, down to 5 extra base hits, 29% K rate, 11% walk rate, still hitting the ball hard at 52%. Now you go from May 17th to yesterday, 117, 197, 150 slash line, a -1 WRC plus, only 2 extra base hits, 42% strikeout rate, 9% walk rate. And here's what's a little concerning, 24% hard hit rate. So that's where it's a little weird, is how did Elly just stop hitting the ball hard? That's a little bizarre, because even when he was stumping a little bit, he was still hitting the ball hard. But now he's just not hitting the ball hard, and he's not hitting the ball much at all. He's striking out at a crazy high level. But I really do think the guys are just figuring out where he struggles a little bit, and they're just pitching him there. And Elly's in his head a little bit, I think he's guessing instead of just kind of reacting up there. I think he's guessing a lot. You see him look at 2-0 fastballs right down the middle. You see him strike out on fastballs right down the middle because maybe he's expecting a breaking ball. You see him swinging at breaking balls in the dirt. He's just going through it right now. I don't want to freak out. I think he's going to be fine. Again, he's 22 years old, guys. He's 22 years old. He hasn't been in the majors for a year. Major League Baseball is hard. Guys are going to go through it. Even the best of the best, they go through huge slumps. It's just going to happen. The good news is the rest of the offense has finally started playing a little bit better, and they're picking him up a bit. So that's huge news because Ellie doesn't have, the world on his shoulders. So you just keep running him out there. I think he'll be fine. It's struggling. It's frustrating to watch for sure, but I truly think Ellie's going to be all right. All right. Well, let's jump into the Rockies preview here and see what we got coming up on this 3-game stretch at Coors Field. I'm going to be honest, before we get into sort of the preview, I'm a little concerned about this series at Coors Field. You have a Rockies team who's 21-37. So on paper, it sounds like the Reds should just go in there and crush them, but the Rockies always play well at Coors. Weird things just seem to happen at Coors Field. We have Ashcraft and Montas pitching, which is a little scary at Coors Field. I'm a little concerned. I'll be very happy if the Reds win 2 out of 3 and get out of there with winning 2 out of 3. So maybe I'm in the minority there, but I'll be pumped if they just win the series and move on. So let's get into the series preview here for a bit. The Reds currently sit at 26-33, last place in the NL Central. The Rockies are 21-37, last in the NL West. Andrew Abbott will be going up against Ryan Feltner in game 1 of the series. Abbott's coming off his worst start of the season. He gave up 6 runs, 7 hits, and 6 innings against the Cardinals on Tuesday. Abbott's been one of the Reds' most consistent starters on the season. He's got a 3.29 ERA, 46 strikeouts through 63 innings. Feltner comes into the game with a 5.46 ERA. He's got 49 strikeouts through 59 in the 3rd innings. Last time out, he got shelled by the Guardians. He gave up 7 runs on 8 hits and 4 in a 3rd innings. I want to say this is a guy the Reds should knock around. I really do, but it seems like these are the kind of guys where the Reds have struggled with all season. I hope we turn the page tonight, and I hope the Reds knock this guy around. I really do, but it seems like every time the Reds face a pitcher that you think they should just crush, it's the 6th inning. The Reds have 3 hits on no runs. So let's hope that changes tonight. Let's pray we don't have 0 runs in the 6th inning in Coors Field. All right, in game 2 of the series, Frankie Montas will be facing off against Ty Blach, I believe is how you pronounce it, for the Rockies. After a strong start to the year, Montas has really struggled recently. He's got a 4.6 ERA on the season. Over his last 7 games, his ERA is 5.93. Opponents are hitting 273 against him in that span. Blach enters the series with a 4.15 ERA over 5 starts for the Rockies. In the last start against the Guardians, he had a really strong start through 7 innings, allowed only 2 runs on 6 hits while striking out 5. Again, I'm a little bit worried with Montas and Ashcraft going in this series, but they need to figure it out. Brandon Williamson is waiting. He's going to be promoted, I think, sooner than later. If one of these two doesn't start to pitch well, I think he's going to be added to the rotation, and one of them might go to the bullpen. And I would love to see him in a Nick Martinez role, but we'll see. Speaking of Graham Ashcraft will go up against Dakota Hudson in the series finale. Ashcraft, like Frankie Montas, has struggled of late. He's got a 4.76 on ERA on the season. Opponents are hitting 270 against him. However, in the past 5 games, he's got a 6.38 ERA, and opponents have posted a 296 batting average. Hudson has a 5.02 ERA to go along with 31 strikeouts and 57 in the 3rd innings and 11 starts. In his last start, he did throw a gem against the Dodgers, throwing 7 innings of 1 run, 4 hit baseball, and he struck out 3. So that's the series preview. Again, I'll be pumped if the Reds get out of there winning 2 or 3. Coors Field's a hard place to play, no matter how bad the Rockies are. Weird things happen. Let's just pray the Reds win 2 out of 3, win another series, and keep inching back to 500. All right, let's see if I got any more questions. I know we got one or two. I probably tweeted it out too late, so we don't have a ton. But we have one from Wet Ball Deuce. Do you see Nick Lodolo maintaining his starting position in the rotation through year end? And do you think he's able to keep up the performance with the slider, specifically being able to control and target better? Listen, I'm huge on Nick Lodolo. I think Nick Lodolo can be honestly one of the best pitchers in baseball when he's healthy. The thing I am concerned about is his health. I don't even hate that the Reds put him on the IL to just watch his innings a little bit. I truly think the world of Nick Lodolo. I think he could be so good. I don't even think he's pitched half of what he's capable of so far this year, and that's saying a lot because he's been incredible. Um, I think his slider, specifically being able to control and target better. I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head to be able to kind of look on how many times he's thrown certain pitches and whatnot, but when he can spin it and throw that high fastball, he kind of said this after the game yesterday. He said he's been forced to throw a lot of changeups because he hasn't had his other stuff as good as it used to be. If he can throw that high fastball and spin that curveball slash slider, whatever he throws, to what it normally is, he's elite. He's elite, and his strikeout numbers will be high. And he's going decently deep into games. He's throwing 6 innings a decent amount. So I'm huge on Nick Lodolo. I think the Reds have a bona fide ace in the future with Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green too. So I am very high on Nick Lodolo. I think the Reds have a great young core in the rotation. But other than that, that is it for today. As always, if you watch this, please like and please drop a comment in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed. It really helps us out. Appreciate you following. Go Reds. Let's hope we beat the Rockies in the series. And then, again, we just need to inch back to 500, a little closer, just inch back slowly by slowly. Go Reds. We'll see you next week. Hopefully we have a winning week.